Well, good morning, everyone, and a very happy Monday morning to you all. For you, it is Monday morning, October 19th. I'm actually recording this on Friday evening over in the parsonage, as you can tell. But as you're watching this, I'll be getting ready to take part in Gail's mother's funeral. Mary Alice's funeral will be Monday morning at 10. So shortly after you see this, I will be taking part in the funeral. And so we will be at Sunset Hills Baptist Church in Omaha at the time you're watching this. So right now, I want to share with you just a few thoughts. I'm probably going to make this a reasonably short video. Just a few thoughts about the 8th chapter of Luke, the final verses. We're going to bite off a big chunk here today, verses 40 to 56. But they're difficult to break up because it starts off with the story about Jairus' daughter and it doesn't conclude until after the healing of the woman that has the hemorrhaging issue. So we kind of have to take them together, or else we have to skip the woman that's having the issues in the middle. And it's really important, I think, for the context of this whole thing, because it's really kind of played one against the other. You'll notice right off that the young girl is 12 years old, and the woman has been suffering from hemorrhaging for 12 years. I don't know what kind of a comparison is supposed to be there, other than that it's a very long time. It's the entire lifetime of this young girl that's about to be brought back. And another interesting thing here is that both Jairus runs up and falls at Jesus' feet, and the woman, once she's healed, she falls at Jesus' feet. So you have this willingness to prostrate oneself, to be humbled, is the word I'm looking for, before Jesus, and to come to him totally, with total humility and willingness, to ask for his grace and to ask for his aid and the healing. Though the woman's already been healed, but with Jairus, he's coming, and we'll talk more about that after we read this. So let's read this, and then we'll come back and we'll discuss it more. So verses 40 to 56 in the 8th chapter of Luke's Gospel. Now when Jesus returned, the crowd welcomed him, for they were all waiting for him. Just then there came a man named Jairus, a leader of the synagogue. He fell at Jesus' feet and begged him to come to his house, for he had an only daughter, about 12 years old, who was dying. As he went, the crowds pressed in on him. Now there was a woman who had been suffering from hemorrhages for 12 years, and though she had spent all she had on physicians, no one could cure her. She came up behind him and touched the fringe of his clothes, and immediately her hemorrhage stopped. Then Jesus asked, "Who touched me?" When all denied it, Peter said, "Master, the crowds surround you and press in on you." But Jesus said, "Someone touched me, for I noticed the power had gone out from me." When the woman saw that she could not remain hidden, she came trembling, and falling down before him, she declared in the presence of all the people why she had touched him, and how she had been immediately healed. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace." While he was still speaking, someone came from the leader's house to say, "Your daughter is dead. Do not trouble the teacher any longer." When Jesus heard this, he replied, "Do not fear, only believe, and she will be saved." When he came to the house, he did not allow anyone to enter with him except Peter, John, and James, and the child's mother and father. They were all weeping and wailing for her. But he said, "Do not weep, for she is not dead, but sleeping." And they laughed at him, knowing that she was dead. But he took her by the hand and called out, "Child, get up." Her spirit returned, and she got up at once. Then he directed them to give her something to eat. Her parents were astounded, but he ordered them to tell no one what had happened. All right. Now, one interesting thing about that you may have noticed from Saturday's devotion, which I will be doing in the morning before I head out for Omaha, and then I'll be coming back Saturday night. Don't fear, I'll be with you on Sunday morning. Then I'll be leaving Sunday after worship to go back to be in Omaha on Monday. It's going to be a busy weekend, a lot of driving, but that's what happens when things happen. But what you may have noticed that at the end of the Gerasene demoniac, with the healing of him, Jesus told him to go and wanted told him to return to your home and declare how much God has done for you. And here he's telling them to not say anything. The interesting thing is the Gerasene demoniac, that's Gentile territory. Here we're in, Jesus returned and the crowds welcomed him. He's back in Jewish territory now. And he's in fact this Jairus is one of the leaders of the synagogue. So it shows that not all of the leaders were opposed to Jesus. Not all of them were confronting him and trying to denounce his ministry. In fact, here's one that believed in him so much that he felt he was his only hope, his last hope for his daughter's sake. And so he's come and he has humbled himself before Christ, asking, please, Lord, come and heal my daughter. And Jesus acquiesces. He is coming. He's on his way there. And the crowds, of course, we've got the crowds pressing in on him, as we talked about here, and they are, touching Jesus. But yet we have this second daughter of God, child of God, don't we? This young one, and now we have this woman. She comes up and touches him. Now, before we address that, we notice that she has been having this issue for 12 years. She has spent everything she had. She has tried everything, and nothing earthly could help her. Nothing in this world could help her. But immediately when she touches Jesus, she's healed. Now, the interesting thing here is that she shouldn't have been in that crowd at all. By cleanliness laws, by purity laws, her bleeding, that makes her unclean. So she shouldn't be in the crowd. She is contaminating everyone she touches, including Jesus, by the law. But rather than the impurity transferring from Jesus, the brokenness transferring to Jesus, as what the Jewish people would believe when you come in contact with someone that's unclean, that uncleanliness, that brokenness transferred to you. Instead, in this case, the wholeness, the completeness, the power of God transferred from Christ to her. The power went out from him, and she was healed like that immediately. Again, there'll be a more immediate coming up here as we continue on. So her faith has made her well. Your faith has made you well. Go in peace. So Jesus continues on to the leader's home, and of course, but before he continues on, they come and tell him that the girl is dead. But he says, "No, let's keep going. It's all good." So he goes to the house, and of course, he only takes in his inner circle and then the parents to the room. And people are thinking he's nuts, that the girl's only asleep, he says. But what is death to Jesus? It's nothing more than a transitional state to Jesus. It's nothing. We think about, to us, death, and of course, I'm at a funeral as I say this, but to us, death is this very dramatic thing. And it is dramatic because we have to go with God. But for God, it's just you're coming home, and it's something that God can transition from back and forth. And so, to Jesus, what is death? And we oftentimes make too much of this boundary line between life and death. About I don't think God has that hard line, but that's another story for another day. Anyway, he goes in and he tells the girl to wake up, get up, rather, child, get up. And her spirit returned, and she got up at once. Again, the healing was immediate. Her coming back to life was an immediate thing. And then the interesting thing is he instructs them to give her something to eat. One normally, if one has been ill and one has been suffering, one is not feeling whole or complete, nor are you really in much of a mood to eat. So it's interesting that this woman this girl, this 12-year-old child, is back to as normal as can be. In fact, she's so normal, she need to give her some food because she hasn't been able to eat for several days. She's famished. And so it's all about the faith of Jairus, the faith of the woman, and the healing of Christ, the completeness of Christ transferring to the brokenness. And that's the message I want to give it to you about it. If we have faith in Christ, our brokenness, even though in this world it may not all go well, but that completeness, that wholeness is going to transfer to us. We're going to get that transition too if we truly believe as we come into contact with Christ in His Word and in prayer. So with that, I'm going to let you go because I've got some more to do tonight before I turn in, and to get ready for Mary Alice's funeral and to get ready for Sunday morning as well. So I hope you have a blessed day today, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye all.